Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rock and Roll podcast. Check out this record. My name is Frank, and with me is my great buddy, Mark.
Hey, Frankie, and our dear listeners. Hello, listeners.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, and you can see these awesome mugs on YouTube.
Uh-huh. But when does this wonderfully charming little podcast get released? So you can hear it sizzle, Frank, like a fajita at Chili's as it comes off the presses.
Ooh.
Chili's, send me a check. Great question. Thanks for asking.
Sponsor the show.
Fortunately for you, new episodes drip to the drop, right to your ear hole each and every Friday for your listening, and ladies, for your viewing pleasure.
That's right. So if you're hearing us for the first time, we are sponsored by Chili's. No, we are not. But you're probably not annoyed at one of our past reviews.
Give us time.
Although if you listen to the last episode, you will probably get annoyed at us, but it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Here at Check Out This Record, we review records and we go track by track. We have a lot of musical discussions and we do spotlight episodes, which might even include some rock and roll mysteries at the end of the day. And we only scratched our surface and we're just getting warmed up.
Yeah, that's true. But be sure to check out our verse series in our illustrious back catalog. There's some really good stuff in there where we pit two bands against each other in a blood feud to make them duke it out for total stereo domination.
That's good. You didn't psych them out like I did last week.
No. My brother's still traumatized from that.
I know. I fooled him.
Yep.
So be sure to check our Instagram, our Facebook group, and hopefully these episodes will leave you wanting more of our musical goodness and Mark's random nonsense. And if you have a record that you want us to check out, drop us a comment wherever you find us, like and subscribe. So I say this to my buddy Mark.
That's me.
With an album title of Van Anything, that's VAN, coming from a band like Weezer. Your mindset is that this is something of a tribute album, right?
That's right. A tribute to none other than New Jersey's finest, Mr. Steven Van Zandt.
Little Stevie.
Yeah, little Stevie.
Little Stevie.
I'm right?
You are.
Oh, perfect.
And by that, I mean you're not. So, listen, we don't need to do a background on the band Weezer, as you can check out our episode of the Blue album, Verse Pinkerton.
Well, that's from the Verse series.
That is from the Verse series.
It's in our back catalog.
It is. and in short, this album, Van Weezer, has been in the works since 2019. Rivers Cuomo mentioned that when they would play their guitar-heavy songs in concert, because they've kind of strayed away from that over the past couple of records, and, well, even maybe just longer than that, they would get a big pop from the crowd. They felt the fans were ready for some shredding. And judging from the title, it's not only an influence from Van Halen, Mark, sorry, the other Van, but there's other bands such as Mark's favorite Kiss, Mark's real favorite Black Sabbath, and Metallica. And the intent here was the Blue album, but more riffy. The release of this was, of course, delayed due to COVID. And I also want to note that the band released a surprise album back in January titled OK Human, a take on Radiohead's OK Computer. The band wanted a simple kind of pop album that was piano and string based. So that's where that came from.
All right.
Yeah. So we have one album that was released a couple months back, which was a nod to Radiohead. And now we have this one, which is a nod to the bands mentioned before. Mark, first impressions, keeping with the context that this is a tribute album of sorts. What were you thinking here?
Yeah, it's definitely a Weezer album on some level, definitely a newer Weezer album, a bit too self-serious for my taste. And surprisingly, I couldn't find that fun Weezer song that every album seems to have. There's always at least one, right? But I was struggling to find that. I loved all these big guitar riffs, but I didn't see where they were going or where they went. It was kind of, we'll get into it. This is one I'm missing something, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Yeah.
Got it. Well, I first heard these songs and I was like, okay, these are rock songs with an obvious like 80s influence solos that have this kind of new Weezer hip vibe. So at beginning, I wasn't like overly impressed. And then I listened to it more And I appreciated how easy it was to digest and thought, hey, sometimes we need these albums. And on a side note, they were played constantly by my daughters in the car. So I was just really just listening to them nonstop.
Mm.
The ones that you could just play and have a good time listening to. I'm not it's not overly serious, and I don't think the band they haven't, if they have taken themselves seriously, it's been probably since the 90s where they actually did that. They set to do one thing here, and I think that was to pay homage and bring back their rock. I say that specifically, and I think they did. So track by track, Mark, if you want to take the first track, away we go.
Yeah, Hero. First
Hero.
track, here we go. It took me a little while to figure out what it was about the song that made me not like it.
Right.
The lyrics feel a little cheap and cheesy, which is something you kind of expect, but these were a little cheap and cheesier than usual, but not in kind of a fun way. You know what I mean? Plus, there's like I kind of like I figured it out when you get to the choruses. There's no snare drum, which really throws off like that kind of rock element, and it really gives the song like this kind of like funny vibe. It's pulsating, right? Because it's eighth notes between the hi-hat and the bass drum, but there's no snare drum, so there's no 2 and 4. It's really kind of weird. I get that there's like this tempo change, but leaving it out makes it kind of the song is missing something, and I think it's that it feels like the verses are songs and they just didn't know what to play for the choruses, and it didn't work for me. I don't care for this as the opener. There's actually a couple songs down the road that I'm like, oh, why wasn't that the opener? The solos are cool. And when they bring in the claps, for the chorus, it kind of works to offset that odd rhythm of not having the snare. But the clap just goes with the hi-hat and bass drum, and it really kind of doesn't add as much as it should, as a good clap part will, because we still just need that 2 and 4, and we're just getting every single note. So I'm definitely distracted by the fact that they put this first, because I really don't think this represents the album very well. I don't know. I wasn't feeling it. What about you?
Well, and I'm glad we do this, because we talk about things, because you were thinking kind of in this mind space of a drummer, which you are. So that was really cool how you pointed those things out, because those are things I wouldn't be thinking, but that's such an interesting, right, perspective. So the rock has returned, and we have some tribute riffs going on, tapping solos, and even though it's supposed to go back, as they said, to the Blue album, lyrically it's super surface level, right? So that is the truth. If I had a genre to sum up this song, it would say your favorite, Mark. It's power pop with an influenced 80s solo, and of course the run of the mill 2021 pop song lyrics. I mean, I'm happy we're getting a louder song from the band, and I know they're in the I'm not taking myself too seriously business. So overall, because of that context, I think it worked as an opener for an album like this again. Track 2 is All the Good Ones. It's a prime example of why I think the band has been able to sustain and remain popular all these years. They've adapted to what's in. I don't know. I don't like listening to, of course, modern pop music, but because I have 2 daughters that do so, I hear a lot of similarities in what he's trying to do in this song and what's out there. These songs could have been on any one. This song in particular could have been on any one of their past albums. So it's one of those lesser rocking tracks. I do like some of the things he mentioned, like Nietzsche, which I'm a fan of Friedrich Nietzsche on a personal note, but it's probably my lesser favorite tracks on here. But again, when you're letting this album play, in that context, it works, but as a solo standalone song, I don't think it does. Mark.
Yeah. So the reason this sounds like this could have been on any other album is because it was. It's basically just that song Beverly Hills again, which is fine, but aside from that, it does nothing for me. I know Cuomo likes to be cheeky with his lyrics, but nothing is catching my attention here. None of these lines are grabbing me in a way that he had previously. I was just fighting the fact that this is basically just Beverly Hills with different lyrics to it and basically the same song structure. Yeah, I was really just like, what? And it took me a while. At first, you guys know me and Frank listens to the albums like constantly on loop before we do this. So at first, when I just put this on, the album feels really familiar, right? And part of that problem is because the band's borrowing, in a way, like Frank said, there's a lot of tribute stuff, but it's more tribute to me, or in my opinion, from their other works, and
Right.
not so much. I wasn't hearing a ton of this 80s stuff, which maybe that's why I got confused by it, because I was expecting a lot more 80s forward rock and roll, and that's not what this record's about.
Right.
With that said, track 3, The End of the Game.
End of the game.
Frank, I hope you have something interesting to say, because other than the intro and the bridge, this song is completely forgettable. Probably would have been served better as the opening track, as it does have a fun energy about it. But the chorus is downright snooze fest, and you just spend a ton of time making references to bands other than, he just spends a ton of time making references to other bands, and in Narnia. I don't get it. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, you get the Van sound. It sticks out with that tapping solo in the beginning. And to me, what sounds like a Panama, the song style riff. This was co-written by the singer from Sugar Cult, which is
I found the problem.
Yeah. As we dig, we find what the problem is. I haven't actually heard or thought of that band in like the longest time until I read that. Songs like this will earn them new fans, right? And we're so far removed from the album Pinkerton that those new fans probably think that's like a totally different band. Obviously, we won't get into that style. We won't get that style of writing ever again. And if you want to hear why, listen to our episode, of course, Blue versus Pinkerton. You'll find out. Lots of references here from the Green albums, Island in the Sun, Aslan from the Chronicles of Narnia, Mick Jagger and Marianne Faithfull. Again, this is Weezer for a new generation, and it shows in this song. Next 4 is I Need Some of That. So this is the first of I have 2 here. It's actually 3 songs with writing credits to other people. This song is credits to the band Asia, and that song Heat of the Moment, and Blue Oyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper. That could be like a knee-jerk reaction based on the fear of maybe getting sued. I get that, as that seems to be the trend now. Just remember, things are finite with music unless you're like some sort of prodigy, which they're good musicians, as you can even tell with the solos here. But maybe that was just the safety net that they did. So things are going to sound the same sometimes. These are still different songs. I think the song is catchy. I could see how it could satisfy again the fans. The outro is actually the little talking part is Rivers engineer Carl Koch and the late Rick Ocasek from the Cars chatting. So I think I could, maybe that was put there because there's also a little Cars vibe, or maybe Rick had something to do with the song. What about you on this song, Mark?
Yeah, I'm so happy you mentioned this, because I'm gonna have to look it up. They must have borrowed something directly from those bands that they would have given them writing credits.
Yes, it's so interesting,
because I mean, I certainly didn't hear a pause and don't fear the know what I mean?
Didn't hear that. I mean, maybe like the heat of the moment, but still though, could be stretching it. Maybe we have to.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm wondering why they chose to do that. Please, if you know, leave us a comment where you found this.
The exact part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or I mean, just like throw a wild guess at it. That's all we're doing. Anyways, that's what I'm doing. The harmony on this chorus is really nice, but overly generic, and I really just can't stand it. The song is poppy enough, but it lacks heart, as the overly cheesy lyrics kind of drowned out what might have been a kind of cool song. The first verse is setting up the whole song, and what it is that he needs, but it's listening to Aerosmith and calling his mom and plugging in his Marshall stack that he needs. So I don't get why he needed a whole song about that, because he never goes back to what it is he needs. It's just listening to Aerosmith, calling his mom, and plugging in a Marshall stack. I'm not, it really is. We kind of talked about this with the Foo Fighters, right? Like, I need some of that. Okay, but what? And why do I care that you need some of that? And don't I need some of that? I'm not engaged enough for any of those things to matter to me.
What is that? What is
that? I mean, look, I used to listen to Aerosmith. I understand why people get into it. But what is it? It's just so ill-defined and like I don't know. I really just it kind of got on my nerves.
That's an interesting word, and I'm saying that is actual
Hmm.
an interesting word because we're talking about it here. It made me think of course, you mentioned Foo Fighters, which is,
Hmm.
is it this or whatever he was saying in that "Waiting for a War" song, and I even started thinking of the Meatloaf song. What's his famous song where it goes,
Oh, I will do
uh,
anything for love,
"For
but I
love,
won't do
but
that.
I won't do that." It's so funny
No,
how at the end everyone's like, "What is that?"
it's Dr. Pepper. Yeah, it's just Dr. Pepper.
There you
Anyways,
go.
track 5 is beginning in the end. Another track that probably would have worked as a better opener.
Mm.
It's the catchiest song so far. Yet, I I still don't know what it is I'm waiting for on a Weezer record, but it's. I mean, I guess that is what I'm waiting for. Is just like something catchy and fun. This one I just found like super boring. Otherwise, completely lacks anything memorable about it. I can be honest with you, right here, right now, as we record this, Frank. I can't tell you anything about the song beginning in the end other tn what I just read to you because I wrote it down. I've completely forgotten it. This entire record just like flushed right out of my brain.
Well, this song is from the Bill and Ted's Face the Music soundtrack.
I still need to
Uh,
watch that.
yeah, I think it's great. I think it's
Okay.
great. Now we have more writing credits here. This is
Mm.
to my favorite Billy Joel, not really, and the similarities to the song "The Longest Time." I actually, I guess if you really want to nitpick things, you could find it and do some ticky tack stuff here, but I'm not really hearing it. But it's a catchy tune, and it was plugged in for the soundtrack. Um, okay, track 6, "Blue Dream." This is actually my favorite on the record. It starts off, listen, it's Crazy Train. That's the intro. It's moved
Hmm.
up the neck so the notes are higher in a different key. Even though you get that recognizable Ozzy's Crazy Train riff played throughout the songs and the verses, it totally still manages to be different. It sets itself apart from, I think, being deemed as a blatant ripoff, which again, I think they were pretty honest with it. These are all, again, like tributes. It almost has that heartbreak from Pinkerton mixed with the upbeat music from the Blue album. I think it's one of their more well written songs musically over the past few albums. You get the sea as a backdrop. Obviously, Mark, you're going to mention here the lyrics, but I think thus far it's the best song. Mark.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, since you were the one paying attention to this, did they give Ozzy or
They
Randy
did.
Rhodes? They gave him writing credits on this. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just wanted to because I didn't hear any of the other ones, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the song is about getting dumped, so he moves to the ocean. I mean, lyrically, it's terrible.
Right.
And Cuomo's singing is all over the place, but he's mostly singing too high out of his range, and it kind of pulls me out of the song. Otherwise, I really like the use of Crazy Train. I
There
thought
you
it was
go.
good. Track 7,
Hmm. Hmm.
one more hit. Again, another could have been an opener. Fuck, man. So we get this cool ass Metallica-ish riff, then some classic kind of popish Weezer with like half the lyrics being cool, kind of cool at least. Then the other, just kind of overusing the phrase "cold turkey," followed by a cool guitar solo. It might be my favorite on the album, but like the rest of the album, it's aggressively all right.
I mean, here we get the heaviest I think I've ever heard the band, to be honest with
Mm-hmm.
you. And this is where that Metallica influence comes in. I'm really actually impressed that they created this heavy laden song, but infused their hooks and the catchy pop nature of it. I
Cold turkey.
I almost forget actually how good of a guitar player Rivers is. I mean, he could solo, and I'm glad we're able to see that here. I liked the song. Uh,
Cold turkey.
Cold Turkey. Track 8, Sheila Can Do It. This is
Oh,
where I saw the biggest return to what they were doing actually on the Blue album many, many years ago. It seemed the tones were very carefully recreated. This is really what appealed Weezer to the masses back in the 90s. I mean, they had those power chord tracks that were catchy. I'm glad they attempted to get at least as close to that as possible to the Blue album. Mark?
yeah. I was worried at first with all of like the nods to people going on that this intro. I thought it was girls, girls, girls. I thought they were doing some crew. Um, it does have that sound from the Blue album for sure, like you mentioned, but this song goes absolutely nowhere. And I have no idea what it is that Sheila can or can't do, other than wearing skinny jeans.
Skinny jeans.
Yeah. So, track 9, She Needs Me. At least the message of the song is clear. She needs him, and that's why he needs her. I guess that's something. It's not quite codependency, but it's not good. Anyways, not really what you should be basing a relationship on, but whatever. I hope they got some product placement money for the jar of Jif reference. Was Jif credited with a writing credit on this one, Frank?
No Jeff.
So
No.
apart from the guitar solos, this song is entirely generic Weezer. Like this is just what's happening if like you just wind them up a little bit and leave them alone. This is what they'll play.
Well, here Rivers stated that he tried to make an attempt at "You Shook Me All Night Long" from AC/DC.
Oh,
I didn't hear that until the
no.
solo, where I was like, okay, that's maybe where they were trying to insert that. I wouldn't say it was one of the
Okay.
the top tracks on this record. Not bad, but again, in the context, if you're letting it play, it's there.
Mhm.
Track 10, and we're at the end. The Precious
Woo.
Metal Girl. So maybe this is the nod to Pinkerton, where the acoustic track closes us out. No materialism here, just metal and love. Lots of 80s references from Faster Pussycat to my only gripe, which is LA Guns. And that band is just
Ooh.
absolutely horrible. And you can't convince me that they're good, because they're not. Even if you're a
Nope.
fan, you know deep down inside they suck.
Yeah.
Anyway, it paints a cute picture. This is not Butterfly from Pinkerton, which is very somber, sad, and morose. This is a cute picture. And again, in context of the album, I'm okay with that as the closer. Mark.
Yeah, it's cute, I guess. Would have liked a little more substance to it, but I guess when you play on words as precious metal and metal girl, these cliches work, I guess.
Right.
I
Context.
was so bored with this that I'm so happy we're done with the album.
Well, Mark, there's still a little more to go, and that's you have to
Yes.
give your final thoughts on the album.
Right. So I think my initial reaction of it being too self-serious may have been misguided. Perhaps I got totally kind of backwards and they're having fun overdoing it and it came across to me as too serious. But it is really just a big laugh for them, right? I
I think
guess.
so.
I don't really know if that's giving them too much credit or not, or not enough, excuse me. I really don't know. This album really confused me because I have a ton of respect for Weezer. But this was just a big like what happened. This album left me pretty indifferent. I get a ton of pop stuff here. I got some cool guitar riffs, but none of it paid off for me. I think perhaps they oversold that this was a Van Halen kind of, or not Van Halen tribute, but a tribute to kind of their 80s, their love for 80s rock and arena rock. And I didn't get that. Like, we got some cool riffs, right? But we didn't get big 80s, faux hair metal tunes, which is kind of what I was expecting. And I think that was really kind of a letdown for me. Really would have liked for them to have gone, less pop driven and focus more on that rock. But that's what they wanted.
Which they showed flashes of, so they could do it. I mean,
yeah. I'm certainly not picking this record up. I'm giving it a 3 out of 10.
That's 3 more than Greta Van Fleet's album.
To hell yeah. And I think 2 more than Foo Fighters. So
so for some reason I went into this thinking I wouldn't like it. I immediately thought that the band was going to make just a failed attempt at something and look silly. I'm not sure why, as we've been seeing their albums adapt from like the Beach Boys style Pacific Sun Dream, which I really enjoyed, to this bare bones Okay Human that was surprisingly dropped. They weren't actually bad at all. I'm learning to separate. My biggest struggle is I have to separate Blue and Pinkerton Weezer with this current incarnation and version that we have. This version is a band that wants to continue to get a new audience, play what they want, and have a good time doing so. They're not, I don't felt I feel they're not taking themselves too seriously here, and I think that's awesome. The rock definitely has returned, and the influences are welcomed. I'm not sure if many think of a band like Weezer and right away, appreciate the musicianship, but they made their because they made their bread basically on power chords, but they could play. Like Rivers is more than an accomplished guitarist, and I'm glad we're seeing some solos. Weezer's a band I don't mind admitting to that I like, and it's I'm very stoked my kids are into them, and they requested the album, so I'm sure I'll pick it up for that reason. I enjoy it because again I could sit with the family and the kids, and we could listen to it from front to back. So because of that, to me, it's a 6.57 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. Okay, Mark. So this album was full of kind of some guilty pleasures, maybe so to speak, right? These
Sure,
80
sure.
influences. Let's do top 10 80s guilty pleasures, any genre,
Uh-huh.
5 apiece. Go ahead, Mark. Take it away.
I'll tell you, my first one is what I really wanted out of this record. I wanted some Warrant Cherry Pie, baby. I couldn't tell you why. Something about, and I don't think I liked them until like the 90s.
Right.
But they were from the 80s. They were part of that hair metal thing. Like, it was weird, but there was something about she's my cherry pie. Could you go water? Right, whatever that shit song was. I was hooked, dude. I thought it was like the coolest shit. They had a sexy ass music video for it.
They did.
It might have been what did it for me, but yeah.
It wasn't
Warrant Cherry Pie.
The girl in the video definitely, attracted many people at the time. Wow, that's a good one. That's a good
Thank
one.
you.
Mine is Little Fighter by White Lion. Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Oh, but Frank and Mark, they talk about hair metal and they bash it. Yeah, we do. But this is called the guilty pleasures list, right? So, Little Fighter, White Lion. Something about this song, I don't know. I just have. Listen, I had the cassette single and I had great memories of watching the video. I never liked that other song, When the Children Cry. So then when I heard this, I was like, okay, this is rocking, man. And the guitar playing was good. And it's about apparently a ship called Little Fighter and just how it's persevered throughout all these years and stuff like that. So White Lion, Little Fighter.
In the song, do they go like, Little Fighter, you know the Navy boat we're talking about?
Yeah.
No, you know why, Greta Van Fleet? Because nobody knows the name of little old fucking boats, you pompous assholes.
Yeah, take a tip from White Lion, Greta Van Fleet.
That's right. And totally unrelated. R.I.P. to Tawny Katane. That's sad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Sad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. She sold more records for that fucking band than they will ever admit.
She had to be on White Snake's payroll. I mean, totally.
Yeah. So number 2 for me is a pretty big hit. But it's one that like you got to really kind of get me drunk to get me to talk about it. Bryan Adams, it's the summer of '69, baby.
Not
I love that song.
Bryan Adams. Yes.
Bryan Adams. Yes. Oh, did I say that wrong? I'm sorry.
No. I always
Bryan.
Adams.
Bryan Adams. You know what it is? It's one of those songs about like, hey man, let's just get some guitars and learn how to rock and everything will be cool. I'm like, yeah, man, I want that shit. You fucking boomers had it so goddamn easy. You could just buy a cheap guitar, teach yourself to play it, and look at you.
Yep.
Look at you sons of bitches. Sorry, go ahead, Frank.
I could just hear my buddy. He used to be like, because you had this Summer of '69 and Run to You and a couple others that I can't name off the top of my head because I'm not like a Bryan Adams fan. But then he's like, somewhere along, this is how he would talk. Somewhere along the way, Bryan Adams lost his balls because then he started doing the Robin Hood soundtrack.
Oh, that was so good. Yeah.
And the what was the other one? The All for One for All with the Three Musketeers and just like all these soft pop tunes. And he's like, oh, that's when Bryan Adams lost his balls. So that's awesome. Think of that.
My boss is this big dude, right? He's just this big dude. He used to play baseball and stuff. Like, he's a big dude, right? And he's got this story about being like 20 and him and like 4 of his buddies were living in Canada, and they're just like, Bryan Adams is coming to town.
Oh yeah, because he's Canadian. Yeah,
we're gonna haul ass down to the theater, be the first, because you couldn't buy tickets online then, right? Or even over the phone. You had to go stand in front of the box office. So him and his buddies drove all the way down to the place, waited in line to buy tickets for it, like Bryan Adams, like a bunch of tough guys like Bryan Adams. And then he's got a story about a fight that they got in. It was pretty, I don't want to ruin it. I don't know,
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, but it's just one of those. Bryan Adams always cracks me up, and people's love for him. I'm like, what the fuck? And then like,
punks love to cover their song. I mean, Summer of '69 is like a go-to for people to cover. So
yeah,
It's a classic. All right. So my next is a song called Some Like It Hot by the Power Station. Now, this is a supergroup of sorts. I don't like Duran Duran at all. But they formed a supergroup with Robert Palmer as the singer. You know, Simply Irresistible and Might As Well Face It, You're Addicted to Love, that guy.
Mhm.
So he sang, and he sang in this group, the Power Station, and the song's called "Some Like It Hot." And he had a good. I mean, Robert Palmer has a great voice, regardless of
Mhm.
if people like him. So screw Duran Duran. You know, I kind of always liked it because of his voice. So
Oh, okay.
oh. Next, Mark.
Yeah, next one for me is Culture Club, Little
Oh.
Karma Chameleon. Yeah, this song's it's kind of weird and like creepy, but like it kind of feels good. You know what I mean? Karma Chameleon. Come a chameleon. They come and
And
go.
go,
They come.
come and
And
go.
it's just kind of that perfect 80s song, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, all of our audience just figured out why we're not in bands anymore.
Yeah. Oh, you heard it right here, right here. But here's another one that will do it. Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley.
Yeah, let's Rickroll them.
He's got, listen, he's got like a cult following because anytime this song comes in on or Together Forever, like people just around just want to dance and have a good time. And it just I always put it on loud in the car, like if it comes on satellite radio and the kids are cracking up and something about this song. So Rick,
Are you aware that this song is like an internet joke?
is it really? Which what
Have
this
you
one?
have you not heard of getting Rickrolled?
No.
Are you kidding me right now?
No, I thought this was like that's like a sushi roll or something. That's not a
No,
no.
well, you're serious right now.
I am more than serious. I no, I don't know.
Okay. I'll see you offline about Rickrolling.
Oh, so we can't even say it on the episode.
Oh, I mean we can, but like I'm not going to do it justice. You just have to.
Okay. All right. All right.
You'll yeah. Oh my god. Number 4 for me.
Yes.
Little Madonna.
Oh.
Right. No question as to what I was interested in about Madonna. Like a Virgin. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. It was one of those things, and then of course H2O covered it. And no, that was Like a Prayer.
Like a Prayer.
But I still like a Virgin. There's something about it. Of course the famous scene in Reservoir Dogs, you know, where they're talking about I got Madonna's big dick in this ear.
Yeah.
I got Charlie Chan in this. Like it's just but no, you know what? Again, Madonna in the 80s, she was like perfect. Like the perfect pop
star.
Yeah, pop car crash. Like she was just amazing. And I was in love with it, man.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome.
What you got next?
Next I have Break My Stride by Matthew Wilder. You know, a lot of people hear this song, you know, nobody gonna hold me down. Oh, it's totally not it. Nobody gonna break my stride. That one. Nobody gonna hold me down.
Oh no.
I got to keep on moving. Everybody will see this guy and they'll be like, who he's the one who did that. They're like, this guy, you don't even correlate him with that song. It's got like this 80s pop, but like reggae backbeat to it. It's addicting as hell. And this was a 45 on my record player. So
nice.
Break My Stride, Matthew Wilder. Back at you, pal.
Yeah. So my last pick here, I'm gonna keep going with the babes because I loved me some 80s babes. Cyndi Lauper, and I loved having fun dancing to the song with my sisters, and I don't care who knows it. Girls just want to have fun. I had a blast singing it. I don't give a fuck. It's a good tune. It's a fun time. Cyndi Lauper rules. Of course, the fact that she did this video with Lou Albano,
Captain Lou Albano,
right, as like basically just a video for the Goonies for no reason. It's pretty amazing. It's on if like the DVD I have for the Goonies. The video for Girls Just Want to Have Fun is on it.
Yeah, so this was also too in that really unique period of the rock and wrestling, right, where you had the 80s wrestling exploding, and they used Cyndi Lauper as a cornerstone to really get them in the pop audience. So that's why you had Lou Albano and Girls Just Want to Have Fun. That's why she was at WrestleMania 1. She was all over wrestling as well, and this song really personifies that whole combination, which was, if you think about from a marketing perspective, genius, absolutely. Last one is the Wham rap from Wham. So everyone's gonna think of Wham, and they're gonna think of Wake Me Up Before You Go and Everything That She Wants and Last Christmas, and then they're gonna think of
Last Christmas I gave you my heart. And then you tug it apart.
It's so dramatic.
Yeah, it is. It's so good though.
And then they're going to think of obviously George Michael's solo stuff,
Right.
and songs like Freedom 90. But there was a Wham song called Freedom, which was way better. But anyway, the Wham rap. This was when still rap was in its infancy.
Right.
Obviously the Sugar Hill Gang song came out, but you had George Michael,
Rapper's Delight. Yeah.
Andrew Rigby. They were in these leather jackets, and they were almost kind of like these punks, but like kind of like new wave type people, and they were rapping, and there was even some like political undertones about in England about people taking advantage of like the welfare and system like that, but they hit it in this Wham rap, and like it, people don't associate George Michael and Wham with the song, but I tell you what, it's such a guilty pleasure. I play it, and the wife's always like, "Oh, that's like the worst Wham song that you're playing," but I always I freaking, it's awesome. So
yes, I love
the
that.
Wham rap. So wow, Mark, that was a fun ride. Why don't you tell the fine people at home what's in store next week?
All right, kids, pack up your stuff. We're going to a show.
Woo!
Now we know that not everywhere everyone is allowed to go to shows. Frank and I live in Florida, so COVID didn't actually happen to us. But for the show, we're going to listen to another great live album, and that album is Social Distortion live at the Roxy.
Wow. Wow. So stoked. I'm so stoked. This is like one of the first live albums that I fell in love with when I was doing that, coming of age into music, and so amped we're covering it. I have a lot of memories with this record, even with you and with this record as well, where we would just sit and listening to it. And I'm excited to go a little bit deeper and dissect it with you, buddy. So you had me at Social D, so this is gonna be awesome. This is gonna be
How much for a cigar?
So anyway, listen, everyone out there, thank you all for listening. I really appreciate you spending this time with us, and of course, be safe, stay safe out there, and thank you again.
Hey, thanks so much. We love you. COVID is real. Bye-bye.